Up today, I've got the Thrunite Neutron 2C V3 2017. And as you might suspect, this is an improvement from the Neutron 2C V2, the last year's model. And just to cover this real quick, let me show you what you're getting with the new light, which is right here. So the old model here on the left, or the new model on the left, old model on the right, updated name of course. This one is rechargeable, has an updated emitter. It's a little bit heavier, a little bit longer. It's a little bit brighter. It has a 0.5 low output versus 0.1. And then on turbo, it's 1100 versus 1040, effectively the same. But it does that for longer, 2.2 hours versus 90 minutes. And on this one, they've added a strobe. Increased brightness, like I mentioned. Throws a little bit farther. This one comes in two color choices, two tint choices. Cool white and neutral white versus just cool white on the V2. And then some other things they've added. This one is dimmable or brightenable, as the case may be. It's chargeable or rechargeable. It has a battery capacity indicator. Comes with an 18650 battery, very nice. And they've added the strobe mode, as I mentioned. So there you go. Improvements for the new light. This light retails for $49.95. I'll throw some links down below. You can check it out, but let's have a look at the light. First, let's have a look at what comes with the light. We'll put this up here. Standard Thrunite box. In the box, you get a couple things. You get a little welcome letter in a couple languages. And then you get a little packet here with a lanyard, if you're so lanyard inclined. Some extra O-rings, an extra power button there, some extra things there. There is a belt clip case, and the case here is no Velcro back here. You just have to feed your belt or whatever else you're putting through there. And then there's a little D-ring up here if you want to clip that onto something. Case here, the light goes in as such. And then it also comes with a micro USB cable because, as I mentioned, this light is rechargeable. And of course, some free salt down the bottom there. So let's get this stuff out of the way and have a look at the light. So here you go. The light is a little bit chunky. It's compared to other lights, it's kind of a bit of a hefty, chunky light in your hand. Just for a comparison size, here's the EagleTac D25C2. And you can see it's a little bit thicker, a little bit longer, but this one's holding an 18650 battery versus this one just holding two CR123. So you're gonna get a little bit thicker light with this in comparison, but out of the way. But anyway, it's kind of a chunky light, for better or for worse. It's got a nice heft to it. It's not a light, wispy light. You may or may not want to carry this around all day, but it's not hateful by any means. All right, design of the light on the back here. There is no button on the back because the only button is right here on the side, which we'll come back to. So of course, this will tail stand if you're so inclined. Lanyard hole right here, if you're going to put the lanyard in. The pocket clip here is removable, and if you want to even just move it around the light, you can do that. But otherwise it comes off if you're either going to carry it in the belt case or you're just not a belt clip kind of person. These two sections here, these two knurled sections, which I'll get to in a little bit. Up here is the cover for the charging port, that micro USB charging port, that I'll get back to in a little bit. This is rubberized, and that seals back down in there, and it helps maintain that IPX8 rating. So it's waterproof, just like all other lights. And this has kind of a little rubber ring that goes around the outside here. Forward to that, there is a little heat sink. And then forward to that, the anti-reflective coated glass lens with a deep smooth reflector and that Cree XPL V6 reflector down in there. Let's look a little more at some of the interesting features of this light. So up here you can take the head off just like you can with pretty much any other light in the world. There's a rubber O-ring here that helps with that water protection, and then the battery comes out. One of the nice things is that they include an 18650 3400 milliamp hour battery, 3.6 volts. Several companies now are starting to include what I will call these more obscure batteries with the lights. And by more obscure, for people that are not really that into flashlights, they probably don't own any 18650s. I know I didn't before I got into this. Now I own kind of a bunch. My dad, though, for instance, who is kind of into flashlights because I'm not sure he owns any 18650s. So for the people that are in that camp, it's wonderful that they include one of these, again, what I'm going to lightly call a more obscure battery for the people that are not really flashlight type people. So there's that. It comes with that. Now, one of the interesting things about this light is that it is sizable. Sizable meaning you can change the size. So you can use one 18650, but maybe you don't like 18650s. Maybe you like 18350s, which is kind of the short chunker version of the 18650. And if you have some of those and you want a little smaller light, you can take this section off, put this on here, and it is now a smaller light. And this light takes quite the variation of batteries. It takes one 18650, one 18350, one 16340, or two 16340s, or two CR123s. As a brief side interlude, a little spoon-fed chocolate-covered loveliness on battery education. 18650, the way the numbering goes, the first two numbers are the 18, that's the millimeters in width, so 18 millimeters across. The next two, 65 millimeters long, and then the O stands for it being cylindrical. So 18650 is 18 by 65. The 18350, it's 18 by 35, so I get about half the length. And then the 16340s and CR123s, they are essentially the same size. I think they're different in voltage. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I did try it with one CR123, and it will put out some light, but it's apparently not the optimal voltage for what you want to use. But point being, this light is very versatile in batteries and size. So really small, really big, really dim, really bright, or kind of. I wouldn't say really small or really big, but it's just, you know, within reason in both sides. But it is pretty dim and pretty bright. All right, and back together. Let's have a look at the function of this light. This light is rechargeable. It comes with those rechargeable batteries, and that plugs in right here. You open this up, you put in the included micro USB. It doesn't come with the power pack. You need to plug it into something that plugs into the wall, but you plug that in, and then it will charge here. You can see that that's red. When it's charging, it's red. When it's fully charged, it turns blue. So you can see there's a little bit ways there on the charging. This then also becomes an indicator when the light is on. Seal this back up. So when you turn the light on, you can see that's blue. And the way this cycle goes, it goes from blue to flashing red to solid red to off. And not that you'll remember this because I didn't, but if you are so inclined, they include it here. So when it's solid blue, means it's 3.2 volts or above. Flashing red, 3 to 3.2. Solid red, 2.8 to 3. And when it just never comes on at all, that little indicator anyway, that means it's below 2.8 volts. So I'll never remember those numbers. I'll probably want to charge it when it's flashing red just because I'm kind of anal like that. And then you can see down here, red means it's charging anything below 4.2 volts. And then when it turns to blue, that means it's at that 4.2 volts. Also, if it flashes purple, that means you have an error and call for help. All right, so now the way the light works, everything is controlled through this one button here. You long press it, and it comes on to a moonlight mode. 0.5 lumens, it will do that for 49 days. And then this light is infinitely dimmable or brightable or brightenable, or I don't know what that word might be. And you get to that by holding this down. And it starts at 12 lumens. So from off, you long press, goes to that 0.5, and then when it starts its ramp up, it makes that little jump up to 12 lumens. Turn this light off, and we'll go on up from there. So you hold it down, and if you can let go and press it, stop, press it again. It will just keep alternating directions as far as dim and bright. When it gets all the way up to the full brightness, it will give a little flash to let you know that it's there. And then you can again go back down from any mode. If you double press, it'll go to the turbo, that 1100 lumens. And then from there you can triple press or double press again, and it'll go into the strobe. Double press and back, and then you can go on down. It also has memory, so here I am kind of at a medium brightness. Turn it off at that medium brightness, and then when you go to turn it back on, it will come on to whatever you turned it off at. Here we'll go all the way down. Turn it off, and back on. On the full brightness on that turbo, it's rated to throw 240 meters, and my way I calculate that into a useful distance is that I just change the meters to feet. I simply change the unit. People yell at me every time I do this without explaining my math. I feel like I'm back in high school math, but I just simply change the units. Leave the number, change the units. 240 meters becomes 240 feet, and that's probably about the useful distance you'll get out of lights. Uses for this light, not a tactical light by any means. I guess you could turn it on and double click it and it goes into that turbo, but you're not going to be using, there's no momentary feature. This is going to be more of an everyday carry light, put in your bag, put in your car, put on your nightstand, or any other kind of general everyday or every night or general darkness kind of use. Camping use, pretty dimmed, pretty bright. And if you wanted to charge it, you could get a solar charger, and you could put it into this and charge the battery while you're out camping. Another option as well. So overall, decent light. It's very interchangeable as far as size and batteries. And for $49.95, I think you're getting a pretty good amount of light for all the variability that you can get with this. So check it out, the Neutron 2C V3 updated for 2017.